Here's 15 reasons that you may be struggling with money, even though you're working super hard or very hard. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Number one, you don't track where the money is going in the first place. So you're making all this money and you're spending it just as fast as you're making it. If you don't measure it, you can't manage it. Money leaks happen when you're unaware of your spending habits, right? So just opening up your bank account and figuring out where this money is going and putting a stop to it. I don't know if you guys are on TikTok or on, even sometimes here on YouTube or on Instagram, where you get those ads that talks about these subscriptions that are taking money from your account. Like, you need to download those and you need to use those and get rid of some of that crap that you're spending money on, right? That's a start. Figure out where the money is going in the first place, right? Number two, you're living paycheck to paycheck. No matter how much you make, it's all gone by the end of the month. This keeps you in survival mode and you're unable to build wealth, right? I did a video recently on the 10-20-6, I can't think of the formula right now, but I recently did a video on a formula that will help with this kind of process of living paycheck to paycheck, and how you can budget your money effectively, so that way you don't end up in this position where at the end of the month or every single paycheck you're like, how can I put this here? A lot of times it's just like lowering your expenses. There's a lot of stuff that you guys are paying for that you don't necessarily need to be paying for, or you need to go make more money, right? So if you're at a job and you're 10 years into your career, you're still making $15 an hour, you need to go get a better job. And it may not be with that company. Sometimes there isn't growth opportunities within the company, even though they told you that it would be. I worked as a recruiter for 9-10 years, and I can tell you right now, there's some companies that will not hire up. Like, they will just not grow because someone needs to either die, get fired, or retire for you to move up. And so sometimes you just got to switch companies as a whole. And I suggest, again, this is coming from a recruiting background. If you've been at a company for 3 to 5 years, it's about that time to start switching if they're not giving you significant pay increases. I know that sounds crazy, but just trust me, 3 to 5 years, move on. Number three, you rely too much on credit. Credit cards and loans cover your gaps. This creates a cycle of debt that's hard to escape. And you got to look at the root. Like, yes, of course, you guys are using credit to replace these gaps. But the reason you have to do that is because of number two. Is because you don't make enough money or your expenses are too high. You got to increase the gap between income and expenses. That's the only way to fix this problem. So if you got to go trade your car in to get a cheaper car, if you got to go, instead of living in a 4-bedroom, live in a 2-bedroom, if you got to go, I don't know, like, you got to figure it out. You got to get out of the mind. The reason why you are where you are is because of the way you think, right? And that could be because you're stuck in status. That can be because you're stuck in what other people think about you, this and that. And there's so many different things that like within psychology that are causing you to be where you are. At the end of the day, the goal is to increase income and keep expenses at a minimum, right? Obviously, you can't get rid of expenses, but you want to keep them at a minimum, and you want to increase that gap that's in between the two. That's where you're going to live. That's where you live a life. Number four, you don't have a budget at all, right? You wing it with your finances without a plan. Money gets spent emotionally, not strategically. And like I said at number two, go watch that video. I don't remember the name of it. It's the 10-20-6-15 formula. I forgot what I named it. It's something like that, though. As you scroll down my videos, you'll see it. I did it, I want to say a few days ago before this video. So go check that out. It will talk to you about how to create a budget for your finances and how to just map all this crap out. Because without mapping it out, you will literally be screwed, for lack of better words. Number five, you spend to impress other people. Lifestyle creep, designer labels, and keeping up with the friends. Trying to look rich will keep you broke 1000%, because why are you doing it in the first place, right? What's really the difference between wearing a nice jacket that looks like this one versus one that looks just like this one but that isn't a nice jacket? It's the same crap. Why are you buying the more expensive one if you don't really have the money to do so, right? I know a lot of people, they talk about how rich people go and they'll spend $1,000 on a t-shirt, and they're like, oh man, that's so stupid, like I would never do that. little do they know that when they buy $100 t-shirts, they're doing even worse than the guy that's rich buying a $1,000 t-shirt. Because how much of a percentage of your paycheck is that t-shirt, right? So if you're making, I don't know, $25 an hour, which is roughly about $50,000 a year, you're probably making anywhere between about $800 a week, give or take. And so if you're spending $100 of that each week on a t-shirt, you're spending 1/8 of your income on a shirt, like of your weekly income on a shirt. Like, that's insane. Where if you take the rich guy who's making $250,000 a year, which is 5 times what you're making, that's 1/40th. You see, $100 is 1/40th of their income. So it's totally different. You gotta look at the way the stuff plays out is totally different. So you might look at someone that's spending a lot of money on a shirt or a car. For example, someone buying a $300,000 car where they make $4 million a year. Is like, that's still better than you buying a $50,000 car if you make $30,000 a year. That's almost twice your income, where that's not even a third of their income, right? And so before you judge other people, look at yourself. Stop trying to spend money to impress other people, right? Number 6, you don't save consistently. You save only when it's convenient. True financial progress requires discipline and automatic saving. You will not save if you try to do this manually. I've been there. I've done this. I thought that I was the most super disciplined person in the universe. I'm not. And you aren't either. Find a way to have your 10%, 5%, 20%, whatever the percentage is, automatically go from a checking account to a savings account. It needs to happen automatically, where you don't see it, you don't look at it. And honestly, I would just you could at this point create a new bank account where that's only for saving. Like, if you have trouble with this, you need to go to extreme lengths to make this stuff happen. Because if it's in you have the debit and then you have the savings, and you see that number in the savings, and you're like, damn, I could really use a good lunch right now. Like, I don't really want to eat leftovers. I want to eat fast food for lunch. You see that $1,000 in there, and you're like, I could just take, $7. What's $7 to $1,000? But then you do that 30 days later, you're $200-$300 short, and you're like, ugh. Right? So have that set automatically, and set it to a place where you can't see it unless you need to see it. That right there will help you out so much when it comes to saving consistently. Number 7, you avoid talking or thinking about money. Money stresses you out, so you ignore it. Avoidance leads to financial chaos, not clarity. I'm pretty sure that's kind of self-explanatory. You can't fix something that you don't think about or look at or want to fix, right? If you're trying to avoid something, it'll never get fixed. Number 8, you lack financial education. You were never taught how money works. Without knowledge, you make costly mistakes out of ignorance. That was an excuse up until you watched this video, right? If you're somebody who say, I just don't understand how money works, you no longer have that excuse. Ignorance is bliss until you figure out what you need to figure out. So now that you know that you need to learn financial education, if you don't learn it, it's your fault, right? I make videos on a daily basis talking about financial education. There's books on financial education. There's podcasts on financial education. There's conferences on financial education. You can go to your bank and simply learn financial. Like, there's so many different ways to learn financial education that just because you didn't learn it in high school doesn't mean that you should be 35 years old, still struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. Like, you need to figure it out. Number 9, you don't invest. Your money sits idle in a savings account or gets spent. No investing equals no long-term growth or passive income. 100%. Now, I'm sure the people I'm talking to in this video, this one can be hit or miss, right? Because most people don't even have the savings account to then invest, right? You should be doing both. In my opinion, I think that you should be saving roughly 5 to 10% a month, and then also investing about 5 to 10% a month, right? You should just kind of do both, have them both kind of just automatically going, where you're not seeing it on a daily basis, or you're not seeing it on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. But again, if you're not even saving, I doubt that you're investing. And if you are investing and you're not saving, that's also kind of like, why are you doing that? What's going on? Number 10, you have no emergency fund. Every unexpected expense becomes a crisis. This forces you into more debt or more financial panic. Kind of goes back to number 9, and it also kind of goes back into number 6. Like, you have to be saving consistently. You have to already kind of have a pool, but you do that by, again, saving automatically. You got to put money aside. And for an emergency fund, I'm thinking you're going to want to have anywhere between 3 to about 12 months worth of your income in the bank, right? And for some people, that's not the easiest thing to do. But again, kind of going back to what we talked about before, if you're in that weird spot where you're like, man, I can't do that with my current lifestyle, then something has to change. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. So you have to be the one to change it, right? You have to either go make more money or go lower your expenses. That's really the only two options you have. I wouldn't go get more credit cards. I wouldn't go and try to do the middle route, because you're just going to screw yourself up. You're just going to screw yourself up. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money. Go make more money or lower your expenses. That's the only two options you really have. Number 11, you buy things you don't need. Shopping becomes therapy or entertainment. Impulse buying destroys your financial momentum. 1000%, right? This kind of goes back into that automatic system of, having your savings go, straight into savings, or having your percentage go straight into savings. Because a lot of times what you'll do is you'll see that savings number and you'll start spending money on stuff that you don't need. It's just stupid stuff. Shirts, clothes, I don't know, fast food. Sorry, I'm looking around, just like think of stuff, but like you'll start spending money on stupid crap. Phone cases, whatever, Apple Watches, stuff like that. Number 12, you depend on one source of income, one job, one check, no backups. This creates vulnerability if that income disappears. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. When you're starting off, obviously you need that one income. You need to develop that one income until you get to a certain point where you can start creating other ones. But in the beginning, you need to find one income, right? And that needs to take care of your expenses to a certain degree. And once that's taken care of, you can slowly start dabbling into another one, and then that one, build that one up, then you dabble into another one. I said this in another video, but don't just jump into 8 different business models thinking that you're going to do all 8 and you're going to multitask and you're going to do all this crap. Like, save yourself the time and just take my advice. Don't do that. Lower your expenses or make more money at your job. Take that money that's in the middle, start a side hustle. Build that side hustle up to a certain point. If you have to hire people, whatever you have to do. Build it where it's passive, create another one, right? And then go from there. Number 13, you think more money will solve everything. Not true. Without new habits, more money just increases bad decisions. It's not just an income problem, it's a money management problem. Because what will happen is that as your income goes up, your spending will go up. And if your spending goes up, but you don't learn how to manage the money that you're making and that you're spending, you'll put yourself in a bigger and deeper hole. Because what happened right now, let's say your rent is $1,500. And it's like, let's say your rent's $700. Like, let's just, whatever. You're making, $10 an hour. Like, let's say it's like you're at bare minimum, right? And let's say you get a $10 pay raise. You move up to $20 an hour. So you're like, I could probably go and get a $1,100, home, right? Cool. Then you'll get a $500 a month car, right? You start increasing these different things, which by all means, depending on your life and depending on, family and stuff like that, like you kind of have to do to some degree. However, if that same person that makes $20 an hour goes and get a $1,000 apartment versus the other person that has a $20 an hour job, they go get to a $1,700 apartment. It's like, this guy right here, if he goes to work and gets fired, well, that $1,700 is still gonna be there. Like, you still have to pay those bills, and how are you gonna do that, right? So you don't want to just go spend more money because you're making more money. You gotta kind of have a balance. You still want to stay in those percentages. Again, I talked about it in that other video, that wealth formula video. You still want to kind of stay within those percentages and keep your expenses down to a minimum based on the income that you're making. You live within the profit. Number 14, you don't set financial goals. You have no target for your money to hit. Without direction, your money serves no purpose. I think that one's kind of self-explanatory. And number 15, you let fear control your decisions. Fear of investing, fear of asking for more, fear of change. Fear keeps you stuck in the same financial place year after year after year. And this kind of goes back to what I said in the beginning. Like, my background is in recruiting. I've hired so many people. I've fired so many people. I've talked to so many people about so many things. And when it comes to the employment world, and this is one that people don't understand, is that every 3 to 5 years, you should be changing your job. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but if your job that you work at right now won't move you up and pay you more, you need to go find that same job somewhere else and get paid more or do more. You have the experience, you know how to do the job. You got to remember that jobs also don't owe you an increase, right? Jobs weren't created to help people pay their bills. That was never the goal, right? The jobs were created because a task needed to be completed, and people decided to take the job in return for being paid. If you're at a company and everything's flowing nicely, you understand they also have bills to pay as well, and you're one of those bills. And so when you don't do what you need to do, they have to let you go. And when you are doing what you do, they want to keep you there so they don't have to replace you later. And so if you've been doing this job for so long and no one wants to move you on and no one wants to help you advance, is because the company is firing on all cylinders. It's doing exactly what it intended to do. But you're not happy, so you need to go find somewhere else where you can do the exact same role for more money. And so that's just a tip, a recruiting tip, but take it or leave it. Again, the 15 reasons why you may be struggling with money, even though you're working hard, were: number 1, you don't track where your money's going. Number 2, you live in paycheck to paycheck. Number 3, you rely too much on credit. Number 4, you don't have a budget. Number 5, you spend money to impress others. Number 6, you don't save consistently. Number 7, you avoid talking or thinking about money. Number 8, you lack financial education. Number 9, you don't invest. Number 10, you have no emergency fund. Number 11, you buy things you don't need. Number 12, you depend on one source of income. Number 13, you think more money will solve everything. Number 14, you don't set financial goals. And number 15, you let fear control your decisions. Hope this video helps. Hit that like button, comment below your thoughts, and hit that subscribe button so that way you can see this more often and get some more financial advice. Peace.